Can everyone see my screen? Thumbs up. Cool. All right.
Kimmy.
Okay, so with discussions, they're surprisingly an underutilized tool in Canvas, and you can use them for more than just kind of having like a prompt and then response situation. So I'm going to go through just kind of the basic steps of setting one up and kind of the different settings that are in a discussion. And then I'm going to kind of throw out some different ideas or different ways that you could utilize a discussion in your course. Both for in-person and your virtual students. So this is my demo course, and I'm just going to go ahead and start in a module. And so you don't have to have discussions unlocked on the side because you can actually build a discussion into a module. And you can also link a button on your homepage, which we'll talk about, or link text on your homepage to a specific discussion. So you don't have to feel like you have to have it available to students over here, because you can put it within your module or you can link it somewhere else. So I'm just going to add a piece here. And if you've been using modules, then you know that with this drop-down menu, you have more options than just assignment. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose discussion. And if I had already made this discussion, maybe from the discussions tab, or it was one that I had used previously, then it would be listed here because I already created it. But I can actually just start with new topic and start a discussion just right now. So I'm just going to do Canvas discussions pressure because I'm not creative. All right, so now I just have a discussion in my module, but there's no actual content in it. So to edit that discussion and edit the settings for it, I'm going to go ahead and click on the name of it and then click edit. So in this main box, you're going to see the typical rich content editor tools that you always see. And because you have the same tools in the toolbar as well as over here on the right, that means you can put a lot of different options in the instructions box. So the instructions box is basically where you're giving all of the information that is going to start that discussion. So is it a prompt type question? So could I just type something like, what's your favorite food? Sure, I could type that, and that could be it, and that's all I do for the discussion, and then all the posts are going to be students telling me what their favorite food is. But I could also get more creative, and I could insert an image, and I could upload an image into the course that has, you know, a couple of different questions or prompts in it to make it kind of more exciting, and I'll show you an example of that. I could put a YouTube video in here. So maybe there's a video that I want students to watch and then respond to, maybe with a couple of questions to it. So I put the video in there and then put some follow-up questions. We had a discussion like that in the eLearning Academy in the spring. So some of you may have participated in that. So there's a lot of different options. You can put audio in here, video in here, text. You can put a PDF file in here if there was like an article that you wanted them to read. So pretty much anything that you can put on a normal Canvas page, you can put in this instructions box, which really kind of broadens the horizons of the types of discussions that you can have. Below that instruction box is who this is going to post to. It's always going to default to all of your sections. So if you're secondary, it's going to default to all of your class periods. If you're elementary, it's going to default to all of your students. So you can change that. So if I don't want all sections to participate in this discussion, maybe this discussion's only for my first period class and I don't want students from other classes participating in this discussion, then I would just close that and I would just add the one class period that I want for this discussion. So that's how you can kind of limit who is participating in the discussion. So if you want it available for all of your students to participate at any time, then you would have it for all sections. If you want a different discussion for each period, then in the post to, you would change that there. You also have some additional options here. I'm missing something. Oh, never mind. Sorry. You can choose whether or not the replies are threaded. So that typically means like when someone posts a comment and then someone replies to it and then someone replies to the reply, all of those posts will stay connected rather than becoming a new post at the bottom. So I kind of like the threaded replies to kind of keep everything together. You can also enable the fact that a user must post before seeing a reply. So for example, if your expectation is that you want someone to contribute to the discussion, but you don't want them to cheat by reading other students' posts ahead of time, then you can check that box and they will have to type out their post before they can see any of the other students' posts. So there's definitely times for that, but then there's also times where seeing the replies might dictate what a student writes, and so you may not want that enabled. You can also allow liking. That's just a nice feature. It's just a little thumbs up. It allows you to like the post. It allows other students to like the posts, and you can have that feature as well. The graded, Nicole, why am I struggling? Why can I not check the graded box? What did I do wrong?
It won't let you click it?
No. Oh, is it because it's not published?
No, that shouldn't matter.
Oh. Sorry, guys. This is what happens.
I'll open a new one, Kimmy, and I'll try.
I had that problem last year. I don't know if this, and I think I had the same problem, and it only worked if I changed who I assigned it to all students.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Which was kind of annoying because then it wasn't separated.
Oh,
you're right.
It. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So yes, all sections, and you're right. That is annoying. So you may not want a graded discussion, and that's fine. But the nice thing about a graded discussion, and I'll show you the nice thing about a graded discussion, is if I check this, I'm going to be able to assign points to it. And I'll be able to sync it. So if you're secondary or 5 through 12, you can send it to Skyward. There we go. Okay. So if you enable it to post to all sections, you can still limit who it's assigned to. So if you do all sections, I can still close this out and then only assign it to that period. Sorry, it's been a while since I built one. I probably should have run through these steps ahead of time. I apologize. So if you post it to all sections, then you can do a graded discussion and you can assign it to specific periods with specific due dates. So those are kind of the main settings of what you would do on a teacher end. So I'm going to pull up a discussion that I already have created. So it's just kind of a silly thing. It says, what's your favorite part of winter? Some people might say nothing. So this was just a picture that I made in Google Drawing, and I just put it in there. So if I were to go into edit of this, it's just a picture that I put in the text box. And the only reason I did it was just because I thought it looked prettier. And you can see on this one, I allowed it to be graded and I allowed liking. So those were, and I had this one set to a complete incomplete as the grade. So if I look at the responses, you can see that a student responded and got a like, a student responded to that student, but then when they did their individual post, it was separate. So notice that the response to a previous post is connected, but a separate new post is by itself. So these are all by themselves. Now, these students all responded with text, but I'm going to show you if I was the student. So let me go into student view really quick. So if I was the student and I were to reply to this, my reply box also has all of those same tools. So I could reply just with text, but I could also reply with an image or a video or a file or things like that. So I can use this attach button to actually choose a file like a video, like audio, like an image to actually post in my reply. On the iPad, if you're in the app, it looks a little bit different. They just actually tap a little paper clip and then it will pull up like their camera app and they can post it from there. So it's the same concept, just the box looks a little bit different. In ClassLink on the iPad, it looks exactly the same as this. So students not only have the opportunity to respond with text, but they also have the opportunity to respond with video, audio, images, files. So you really can kind of broaden the horizon of what your discussion is. It doesn't just have to be, here's my question, here's the response. Another kind of idea with discussions is to allow the discussions to be an opportunity for some student feedback. So rather than it being something that they're supposed to read or watch and then respond to, you could actually use the discussion as like a place of submission. So similar to like, I know a lot of people have used Flipgrid where students can like record a video and then students respond. So in this case, a student could post a video or a project or an image or something that they created, and you can use the graded discussion to grade their work, but you can also use it as a means of students being able to provide feedback or kind of constructive criticism or whatever, peer review, different things like that. So even if you were an English teacher and students were posting a paper, you could have students kind of peer review each other using the discussion. So those are really kind of different ways to think of the discussion. So rather than them responding to something that you've posted, you're actually using the discussion as a place of submission for an assignment or a video or an image or something that they created, which is another kind of fun way to utilize discussions. Are we good so far? I feel like I'm just talking really fast.
No, you're doing great. We have no questions that anyone has typed. So
is everyone like glazed over and falling asleep?
No, they're awake. They look happy and awake. I see a lot of smiling faces.
Okay, good.
I have a couple of questions if you're ready for questions.
I can pause for a second and take a question. Sure.
So one of the things, when kids post, the discussions have a timestamp, correct?
Yes.
So like if I wanted to use this as their attendance, they could check in and I would know if they checked in on time.
Yes.
And then can you delete posts?
Yes. So I can
like
right now, I'm in the teacher view, so I can click the dots and just hit delete. So
okay, because I was like, I didn't want to have to make a new attendance thing every day. So I can just delete their post at the end of the day and start over.
So discussions are actually a nice, so you could delete them, but you could also instead, discussions are kind of like assignments where you can just click the dots and hit duplicate. So you can actually just duplicate the discussion. Quizzes are the only thing that you can't duplicate unless you're using new quizzes. New quizzes you can duplicate, but discussions and assignments you can duplicate.
And then I did use discussions for attendance a few times last quarter. I would just notify the children in the post that it was going to be an attendance piece, but it was something a little lighthearted for us to kind of connect again. It might have been a video or them to share something kind of morning meeting-ish so that they had the opportunity just to do something that they could connect with their classmates with, because it is a nice collaborative space as well. And so it is nice for that. Kimmy can also show in a little bit how that looks in SpeedGrader, because you can also access posts in there. So we'll get to that here in a moment.
And then my last question, you had said a little bit about it, but you can assign different due dates for different classes within the same discussion.
Yes.
So like I can make my first period due at, I don't know, 9 o'clock whenever class ends, and I can make my second period due at a different time.
Yes. So if I enable it to be a graded, you have to have it be a graded discussion to do that. And so then I can assign this to first period and say it's available from today at 9 a.m. until today at 10 a.m. And then I can add and assign to my other period and do a different available from and until.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. All good questions. All right. So actually what Nicole just said is my perfect segue, because that's the next thing I was going to show. So with a graded discussion, let me get back to one that has posts in it. When you are in the discussion, you actually have to click on the discussion. And then when you click on the 3 dots, if it's a graded discussion, you'll have this option for speed grader. Usually if we're in a quiz or an assignment, it says speed grader over here on the right. So discussions is a little bit different because you actually have to click on the dots and then go to speed grader. So when it opens in speed grader, it's going to give you the students, right? And if I click on any one student, it's going to show me each of their posts, not only their original post, but any post that they replied to. So you can look at just one student's comments. So if they've got 15 different comments throughout the whole discussion, they'll all be listed here. But if you notice, they're not necessarily in context, because if they were a reply, they're not showing what they were replying to. So while you're in SpeedGrader, you can actually click view the full discussion. And so I'm still in SpeedGrader. Notice I still have my grading tools, but now I can actually see the entire discussion and see what this student was replying to. So I can grade that student and then go to the next one. It's going to show me their one reply. I can mark it. I did complete incomplete for this, but you could have used, points or whatever. And again, if I needed to see what context this was in, I can click view the full discussion and see where that post happened. I can also do my regular assignment comments or any of the attachments that I would like to do to their submission. So that's what SpeedGrader looks like. But again, you only get this option if you've set the discussion to be a graded discussion. If it's not a graded discussion, then you won't have the SpeedGrader option. Was there anything else with that, Nicole, that you wanted me to show?
No, that covered it. Thank you.
Okay. So one other idea that kind of came to us was not just putting discussions, in your modules for a specific topic or whatever it is, a submission, attendance, but also utilizing a discussion as like a class question board or a student lounge, basically a place where either students could post questions and respond and help each other, or that you, if you have a moment, can go in and respond to. So in this case, I actually linked a button on my homepage to a specific discussion board, and I called it Class Question Board. So if students wanted to, they could click on this, and at any time, I just put a basic banner that says, have a question, ask the class. And so this can kind of just be that house for like questions that you think classmates could answer. This is probably a little more secondary than elementary, maybe upper elementary, but it also could be just a class question board if students aren't responding to each other, a place that you as the teacher could respond to stuff. So, if you're not comfortable enabling like the class chat feature or something like that, you could use a class question board just for general questions or things that students might need help with. So, and that, like I said, was an example. If I were to go into edit of my homepage, these are just images. And if I click on the image and I go over to the links, I can choose a specific discussion to link that image to. Or I could have, if I didn't want to do an image, I could just highlight the text. So you don't have to be fancy and use images. You could just type class question board or student lounge and just highlight the text and then click on the discussion. And now you can tell that that's a link. So you don't have to do an image. You could totally just do text. But in this case, I clicked on the image and then clicked on the discussion I wanted to link it to. And now that image will take you to that class question board or the discussion board. So that's just another way of thinking about discussions. So if I was in student view, which apparently none of my images want to load in student view, so that's cool. I can click on class question board, and as a student, I could ask a question to the class and hopefully get my question answered, maybe by a student if the teacher is not readily available. So that's pretty much all the main stuff that I have with discussions. Canvas help. So if you're on your Canvas page and you click on the help button and you search the Canvas guides, There is a great section of guides with screenshots on pretty much everything I just talked about, and probably even more, because Canvas always has lots of cool hidden secrets that I don't discover until I've discovered them. So if you need extra help, definitely check out the Canvas guides, or obviously reach out to myself or Nicole or Jana for help, or Lauren when she comes back. But we've got some time if there's more questions.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So what you were just talking about with asks the students, is that something that we can leave up for the entire day class period? I mean, are we do we have enough with bandwidth to do this kind of stuff? I mean, I know that my understanding is like the Upple schools are constantly crashing with everybody trying to do this kind of stuff. So I'm just curious, because I would like to do that, because I have kind of a policy, you know, ask two students before you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely, Tracy. You can actually leave that discussion board. You could leave it unlocked for like the whole year if you wanted to, without resetting it. It's not the same thing as a live stream, which is what's causing the crashing of people's networks. It's literally, it's almost the equivalent of them submitting an assignment, but they're submitting a discussion post. So it's a little quicker because they're not like uploading anything. So it's a little more instant, but it would not bog down the network. You should be fine having that open. Although if I'm wrong, don't tell Kevin Wilson I said that. Anybody else? Questions? No? Nicole, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered it. There were no feature options that I have utilized that you didn't share. So,
okay. Yeah. I mean, just be creative with them. You know, there's really a lot you can do with discussions other than just put a prompt and respond. So just kind of think outside the box. Using it as a place for submissions is really cool. And it's a great opportunity for your in-class students and your at-home students to kind of have that sense of classroom, because they can communicate with each other, even if they're not together. So
yeah, it's a great collaboration space for sure. And also a great space to have multiple things going on, like multiple questions being answered, or students carrying on and practicing and doing some application pieces with your content. So it's just another avenue for students to submit.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. And we'll post this in the e-learning course shortly. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. I just removed people.
End call.
Goodbye.